Today we have a younger peach tree that's maturing. It's in really good shape. We have pruned it for a couple of years, aggressively tipped it back so that we get a lot of this new growth. And with peaches, it's the new growth that produces the buds that bloom, that produce the fruit. The problem with peaches is that some of that new growth is several feet long. And if you count the buds on this branch, you could potentially have 15 peaches. And there's no way that a branch of this size could possibly support 15 peaches. So when we prune peach trees, we want to make sure that we're aggressively pruning the tree back in order to stimulate this type of new growth next year, but we also want to tip back aggressively all of these spindly branches to reduce the number of fruiting buds on each branch so that the branch can support the weight of the fruit. I have 8 steps that I like to use when pruning trees like this. It's really just 8 things to focus on so that you have a place to start and a place to finish. In reality, I just do all 8 steps simultaneously, but I would like to just show you quickly what those 8 steps look like. The first thing that we like to do is remove any suckers from the base of the tree. Often those suckers are coming up from the rootstock, from below the graft union. The branches are not the same as the mother tree. It's a different variety of tree. Often it's a plum rootstock or some other stone fruit that the peach is grafted to. Step 2, we like to slowly move this canopy up. Step 2 has 2 parts. The first part is the lower 2 branches. The second part is the leader. Once we've brought the canopy up to the level that we want, we'll go in and we'll remove this leader in order to open up the center of the tree. In this instance, we could probably cut a few more branches than just the 2 because these lower branches are coming up from the base. It's a lot easier to maintain a tree if we can get underneath it and work rather than having branches poke you in the eyeball. You'll also notice on this tree that the south side is heavier than the north side. This side of the tree is gaining a lot more solar energy than this side of the tree. Therefore, it's growing faster and it's also going to have a much thicker caliper branch. And so we need to be more aggressive on the south side, less aggressive on the north side. That will create balance in the canopy. So back to the 8 steps. We've got the suckers, lower 2 branches and leader. And then the third thing we want to focus on are water sprouts. And water sprouts in apples and pears need to be removed because they're not going to be very productive fruit-wise. They're very productive in creating leaves, and those leaves will feed the tree. But on a peach tree, we really want to keep these water sprouts and tip them back. If there's any growing up into the middle of the canopy, we can cut those back. Fourth are the 4 Ds. We're looking for the dead branches, the ones that are crispy, the bark is wilting. We're looking for damaged branches. Sometimes the weight of the fruit causes a branch to break and it's just hanging there. We want to make sure that we're cutting back the dead, the damaged, and then disease. Oftentimes peach trees will get diseases like Setospora, Corinium blight, and it's important that we're cutting some of that stuff out in the spring to make room for the newer, healthier branches. The 5th step, we're looking for crossing branches or branches that are growing in towards the middle. We're going to cut a lot of these that are growing in towards the middle. But one of the biggest mistakes people make when pruning open center fruit trees is that they open the center too much, creating a hole in the tree. And then when the sun beats down on this mature bark tissue, it causes it to expand and contract in the wintertime and split, and then it peels back and it becomes susceptible to wood-boring insects. It weakens the tree, and then some of those big old mature branches end up failing. Once we remove the crossing branches, we're looking for branches that are parallel to each other, that are filling the same space. We want to make sure that we're allowing each and every branch enough space to collect the sunlight that it needs to develop the fruit. So if there's two branches that are growing parallel to each other, people always ask me which one should I take, one or the other or both. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're correcting the problem and removing the two branches that are parallel. So we're looking for crossing branches, branches growing in towards the middle, and parallel branches. Okay, so that's step 5. Step 6, we're going to tip the branches. Pretty much every branch on a peach tree gets tipped back. Peach trees don't have spurs like apples and pear trees, but what I like the tree to look like when I'm done is I like all the branches to be tipped back so that they look like there's a whole bunch of spurs on this tree, because that's where the fruit is going to happen, is on last year's growth. But tipping it is going to shorten it, allow the tree to better support the weight of the fruit, and like I mentioned before, being aggressive on the tipping will also stimulate a lot of new growth that will then become productive next season. So we're eliminating good fruiting wood this year in order to produce good fruiting wood next year. This is an investment. With peach trees, the structure of the tree is more important than the quantity of fruit. Well, I would say that that's true with all fruit trees. Developing a good structure, investing in your tree structure is going to give you much better long-term results than trying to maximize the fruit each and every year. Keep that in mind when you're pruning. Structure is more important than short-term fruit production. Okay, so now here I am on this south-facing branch. I'm going to cut some of this really big stuff so that I'm slowing the growth of this branch and allowing the sunlight to penetrate the canopy to speed up the growth on the north side. And that way, this tree will eventually balance out and become much more aesthetically pleasing and much more productive. So you'll see here, I'm just, not only am I tipping branches, but I'm going to just straight up remove a lot of these that are shading out some of the other branches lower in the tree. Okay, so 6 is tipping. Step 7 is we're looking for lion's tails, a new branch that has dead buds along the majority of it, and the only living buds are here at the tip. Another follower called this blindwood. I like that. The buds down here are blind. They're no longer viable. All the living buds are here on the tip. So with peaches, it's pretty common that disease will attack some of this first buds early in the spring, but then as the branch elongates and creates new buds in the summer, those buds become viable, but they're all on the tip, which makes that branch a less productive branch. And so I'm going to look for those. I'm going to eliminate the blind wood. These steps don't have to be done in perfect order, but it is important that if you see a problem in the tree that you're correcting it while you're pruning. So you'll see here too, as I tip this back, I'm reducing the height of the tree, but you'll see that this north side is taller than the south side. And that's by design, because as the sun hits this, these are going to be productive. This is going to try to grow faster than this. By the end of the summer, these will even out. When I'm creating a bowl, I'm kind of pointing it to the south or the southwest in order to capture that sunlight. The final step, I like to step back and just review what I've done. It's important to do a 365-degree walk around on the tree in order to just make sure that it's balanced. Sometimes you can't see how the tree looks when you're up in front of it. Sometimes you need to kind of step back and admire your work in order to find some of the things that you missed or places where it could use a little bit more tipping. But I think this is looking pretty good. And so we'll move in here close. We still have a lot of new branches and a lot of buds on each branch, but the branches are short enough that they can support the weight of the fruit. The bud at the end of these tipped branches are going to fork next year, and all that new growth is going to become the fruiting wood for next summer. And this time next year I'll go ahead and prune this again, and we'll be able to repeat the whole process again. One of the things that I like to mention is you don't have to do it perfect the first time, because it's almost like you're taking a class in college. You don't have to ace it because you're going to take this class again next semester. So do the best you can and be happy with the results and learn from your mistakes, and hopefully you'll be able to have a good productive fruit tree. Appreciate you watching this video. If you could please subscribe and comment and like the video, let me know what you think, and we'll do some more just like this one.